Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. Yes, we have taken a little bit of a hiatus. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, but I'm super excited to be back. And I'm very, very excited to have Heather Case with us. We're going to talk about One Purse, designer purse donations, empowering survivors. Basically, she deals with sex trafficking survivors. She's going to talk all about her journey, how we can get involved. I'm sure all of my wife included will love to hear about designer purses. So we're going to take it there. Heather, thank you so much for being patient. How are you today?
I'm great, Ted. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited to have you on. I love when we can shine a light on a cause. And I also love when we can shine a light on an organization that I didn't know about. I think I know everything in Orlando, and I obviously do not. So tell us, but before we take a deep dive into One Purse, tell us a little bit about you. I told you before we went live that the audience absolutely loves an origin story, and they kind of want to know how you got here.
Okay, absolutely. So my husband and I live in Winter Park, and we have 4 children. And we met in the finance industry where I spent 15 years. And when my last 2 children were born, twins, I was working 60 plus hours a week in that finance industry. And something had to change. So made the decision to come home thinking that I was just going to be really busy taking care of my little ones. And I was for about a year. But over that first year, because my life had been so busy previously, I'd been rather tuned out to the needs of others around me. And over that year, through actually a Bible study at my church, started to learn about the needs of vulnerable women and children in our community. And I was shopping in an upscale consignment store. It's still there today, a chic boutique on Corning Drive. And I found a purse and I fell in love with this bag. But now it was not in my stay-at-home mom budget. And so I left the purse, but I say the purse did not leave me. I went back and visited it several times, hoping, even took a friend along, hoping she'd say, it's okay, you can go ahead and buy it. And around that time, I had this strong conviction on my heart that for the amount of money I was considering spending on that one purse, that I could change someone else's life. And I did not know at that moment in time that I would end up ultimately serving women and children in this anti-trafficking space. I only knew that I was to move in service to vulnerable women and children. And so I can share as we go along a little bit of that journey if you want to hear of how we came to serve trafficking survivors.
I think it's so important for them to understand because people have ideas, they have this little spark, and a lot of people don't follow through on it. And it's okay not to know exactly where that spark's going to go, which is sort of your part of your story.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you had asked me, this was 2011, if you'd asked me what trafficking was back then, I would have definitely described something to you in the developing world. Like I had no idea that it was happening here. I had no idea what it looked like here or what it would take to serve survivors. But within that first year, we got to be involved with a lot of different projects. And One Purse originally was women donating their purses, coming to my house for a brunch and picking out a bag that was new to them and giving a donation in exchange for that bag. And that was our model until COVID, which I'll share in a little bit. But I knew then that trafficking was something far away. I didn't understand it was here. And so as my awareness grew about the issue here, I came to understand it was a big problem in our community. It was a big problem in our country. And I came to understand a little bit more about the needs of survivors. Originally, we were raising funds and giving them to organizations that were doing frontline, super important work. But I had the misconception that many people in the community have, and that is that once a survivor is rescued, they're free, right? They're good. Why wouldn't they be free and good? But what we know about trafficking is that less than 5% of victims are abducted into trafficking, which is what we believe, right? That's what we would see in entertainment and maybe like Taken or something. The other 95% are exploited through their vulnerabilities. They're on the margin in some way to begin with, in dysfunctional homes or in the foster care system, addictions, things that are present in their life that make them vulnerable to being trafficked. And so as time went on, I started to see that really good work was being done identifying survivors. And then we were doing some good work stabilizing survivors, getting them through detox and all of that. And even bringing them into wonderful restorative care programs where they worked through their trauma-informed needs. However, no one was really addressing those vulnerabilities that were present before their trafficking happened. And what we came to understand is if we didn't help them to establish economic stability, we were not able to really ensure that they were not exploited again. We know now that there's a risk of it. At least 80% of trafficking survivors are at risk for re-exploitation if we don't help them to get healthy and establish economic stability. And so in 2016, as an organization, we founded the Restore Her Dream Fund, where we provided scholarship resources to survivors to take their next steps in their vocational training, college tuition, and we've now helped over 300 survivors take those next steps, working as graphic design artists, paralegals. Many of them are working in this work, in the anti-trafficking work, as advocates and clinicians. And then I spoke of our model shifting a little bit through COVID. We had a long-term strategic plan to launch a work therapy program, but we thought that was going to be further down the road. And when COVID happened, all of our one purse gatherings canceled, right? Women weren't coming together to do these things with purses anymore. And so we took the purses that were on hand, things that had been overflow from our prior events, and started listing them online and seeing them sell. And so we were like, wait a minute, I think this is an opportunity. As painful as this is for us as a world to go through this, I think there's a shift happening in our work. And so we hired our first survivor during COVID into that work therapy program in the fall of 2020. And we have since hired 2 other survivors, and we have been able to give them employment. And so the work they do in our work therapy program today is that women in our community and beyond throughout the country donate their designer purses. And when I say designer, people hear like Louis Vuitton and Chanel, and those are awesome. We celebrate every single one of those that comes in through the door, but it's also Coach and Michael Kors and Kate Spade and Brighton and other brands. Just has to have a brand name to have a resale value, because that is the work they do in our program. Is every bag that's donated to us, they clean it, they research its value, they take all the pictures, they list them online for sale, they handle customer service, they handle the shipping. And so I'm excited about the opportunity for your community to follow you, to start knowing about our need for designer purse donations.
So lots of information, lots of amazing information. I think that I serve on the board for a human trafficking organization. And I know the need. People don't realize that Florida used to be top 3. It might have moved up to top 2. It's certainly in the top 3 nationwide. And Central Florida is also right up there within Florida. So the amount of trafficking, think about it. Where else in the world could you disappear and not be noticed than the world that we live in our tourist area? It's heartbreaking, the lack of services. There are some amazing organizations like yours that fill the need, but the need is so ginormous that you really cannot wrap your entire arms around it. So any organization like yours that finds a way to reintegrate, to train, to give them an opportunity to get a life back that they've either forgotten completely or don't know how to embrace again. Because there is so much, if you ever read any of the psychology, my loving supporters that are watching this show, it is a mind-numbing experience that they go through, to the point where they absolutely, many of them, lose their identity and forget how to be who they were prior to being trafficked. So kudos to you. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think I have done silent auctions for other organizations where gently donated purses are involved, and the amount of money that can be raised. But I love what you do, Heather. You all take it a step further and help provide them with the resources. You help give them, you're working toward helping giving more and more of them an actual job, an actual task, an actual training of something to do, a skill that they can utilize, because we don't have a lot of services here that are not just crisis oriented. Getting them out is an amazing thing, but there is an entirely additional world that goes on once they are removed from the situation, as you know. And that's really where the healing has to start beginning. And we don't have enough services, nor enough money, nor enough people getting involved, because it's not a pretty little thing that we're talking about, human trafficking. We don't like to think about it. We don't like to think about it in our backyard. And so kudos to you all. It's so powerful what you do in a way that was sparked by you had the Holy Spirit, as you said. You had that gnawing on you. I got to do something different. It's not about that purse that I went to visit. I wanted visitation rights with my friend. You got to do so much more. I think it's a beautiful, amazing thing that you all do. So how do we get involved? How does my audience donate purses? How do they participate? Do you have events? Give them kind of a 411. Now that you've explained what you do, I know that there are going to be listeners and viewers who want to get involved.
Absolutely. So for local viewers to Orlando, we do a tour on the first Friday of every month. So we have a tour coming up on August 5th. And we're located in the Thornton Park area. And if you're interested in attending that tour, I would just invite them to go to our website and register to come to that tour. And you can kind of see all that we do from the inside. And donating designer purses. I mean, literally the volume of purses we get in dictates the next survivor we can hire. And so we need the community to know that we can turn those resources, those beautiful bags that are sitting in their closets, into education and employment for survivors. And, there's a lot of big closets in Orlando, and there's a lot of big closets across our country. And, maybe choose that one beautiful bag and see what we can do with it. Maybe you'll give us the next bag, but we just need that word spread. And even if someone's not, we're obviously a nonprofit today, those purses account for about 15% of our total revenues through that social enterprise. We hope to expand that social enterprise to account for a larger percentage. But generous giving to the work that we're doing also allows us to give that next scholarship and help that next survivor. So I would say come and do a tour, donate your designer purses, give generously to our work.
Y'all, I know for a fact, because I've done the auctions, you have a ton of those purses sitting in your closet. Don't think anything is too small. Don't think that you can't get involved if you don't have a purse. Please go to onepurse.org, reach out to me, reach out to Heather. I'll get you in touch with her if you want to reach out to me. I think it's so critical that we continue to give back to onepurse.org. You guys are doing amazing work, Heather. And look, we got it done. We did it.
Awesome, Ted. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with your community. I appreciate it so much.
I think it's amazing. Again, you guys, I talk about it all the time. Another organization in town that's doing amazing, important, critical work in our community, and I did not know. So thank you, Heather, for all you do, you and your team. Go to onepurse.org, everybody. Get involved. If you want to get a purse to Heather, I know how to get in touch with her, but also they can use all the resources they can get. It's a giant, huge problem, and let's try to help these traffic victims get their lives back. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Bye.